This is going to be a weird video in 4 very different, interesting parts actually. I'm standing in the window of a friend's high-rise apartment tonight. It's 3:40 a.m. and I'm zooming in on windows a few streets over looking for any sign of life. And I'm doing this not to be creepy, but to demonstrate something kind of abstract that I've been thinking about, which is that there's a really weird thing about zooming in. You know, you're right there in between the window and me in a way. And as I pan around here, you're very aware of me as the active director of this moment. You're not just curious about these windows I'm looking at, you're curious about me and what I'm doing. It's almost as if this camera is a two-way camera. It's telling you about what I'm seeing, and therefore it's also telling you about me. Now you might think this is true of any POV shot, and I agree, but I feel like the act of zooming establishes another level of intimacy. It's more active, more searching, more enticing. It feels a little forbidden maybe, as it denotes someone studying something with deliberate patience that might make you reticent or hesitant or suspicious even, and in some cases nervous. We've all watched movies where we see directly through a sniper's laser sight, you know, the ultimate psychological rendering of that line going from the carrier to the target. And I'm just armed with an iPhone here, but yeah. You've seen the slow pans in spy movies of someone observing someone else. Even as you watch this, it feels intimate, bordering on a violation. I chose to do this at night, and I think most of these windows are offices, so the chances of discovering anything all that revealing are probably low. But that's not really my aim anyway. I like the grain of this, the lack of detail, the straining, trying to find something to make sense of in these blurry images. As a result of that intimacy, I find it actually sort of poetic or lyrical or in some way heavy with meaning, even if I can't quite grasp what that meaning might be. And I find that in art, that's what I like the most. I like to call it 5 minutes from meaning. It's just this dumb phrase I've invented, this idea that something has a certain quality that makes it imbued with meaning. It's clearly considered and thoughtful and carries certain references or symbols or just something that makes it seem meaningful, but ultimately you struggle to fully put the puzzle pieces together. So in lyrics, for example, I love songs that evoke this feeling. I am most moved by songs I can almost understand, but not quite. If you write a song that I can parse immediately, you know, a song that is just totally clear in its meaning, what you've basically done is you've written something banal, something that isn't worth listening to again and again. It's like, I get it. But you can't make just gibberish either. It has to be 5 minutes from meaning. The meaning has to be right around the corner somewhere. But then when you round that corner, it seems to have slipped away to the next corner. But surely it'll be there. That's my ideal kind of art, I think. Anyway, back to the filming or photographing of windows. Back in 2013, there was a famous controversy when photographer Arne Svensson shot his project called The Neighbors. A number of residents in a Tribeca luxury apartment building were furious upon discovering that Svensson had stealthily snapped pictures of them from his nearby residence through their large, partially uncovered windows, and wanted to exhibit and sell the pictures in a gallery. There was a big social media frenzy and a lawsuit, which Svensson won, and then an appeal which also settled in Svensson's favor. If you look up this case online, you'll find that probably 90% of people are outraged and feel that this photographer did something wrong. I completely understand why they feel that way, but to me it seemed pretty obvious that what he had done was not illegal and that these subjects' expectation of privacy was not fully warranted. And you can absolutely argue about the morality of the project. I'm not going to chime in on that. But I think the resulting images are certainly intimate in a very particular way. Obviously, the people who dislike them agree. It's exactly because they feel these images are so intimate that they object to their existence. I recently saw an interesting project on social media. This guy created a website called trafficcamphotobooth.com that lists traffic cameras all over New York City and allows you to go to those locations and then retrieve the photos from that moment in time so you can see yourself as you're seen by those cameras. So I went and tried it. I went to this one at 125th Street and Broadway up in Harlem. So here's a preview of that camera. I thought it could be cool to stand here with that arrow pointing right at me. And so you basically look at this to figure out where the camera is aimed, and then like when I got there, I was like kind of turned around. I couldn't see where this was at first. It's sort of a big intersection. It's bigger than it looks here, and the angles didn't make sense to me at first because I thought it was here, but it ended up actually being over here. You can see they actually have that arrow on Google Maps. I was impressed by that. See, it's over there, but there was a car standing in that spot. But then I saw that they were about to leave, so I sprung into action. By the way, here is the actual traffic camera, I think. Here I am on this sort of photo strip page that the website gives you. I took more photos than this. You can basically refill this photo strip as many times as you want. Now obviously I'm going to just be a small figure in a large picture plane here, so we're going to have to zoom in. This is definitely shot on a potato. I'm just occupying a handful of pixels in each image. But sometimes that's part of this zooming in intimacy thing I'm talking about, when you have a really low-res source. I find that as the years have gone by, there's an interesting effect that low-res footage has on my brain now, and it is similar to this zoom-in thing where it kind of brings a heightened attention or something. I think it's because I normally would never look at anything low-res. You know, it's ugly and old and usually irrelevant. But then when I do find myself looking at something low-res, it sort of feels like the content of it must be really important. It must be really important if I've chosen to view such crappy footage of it. You know, it's like it's a rare artifact. It's giving the energy of like, unfortunately, this is the only surviving footage of this pivotal moment. And so low-res carries this weight in a way, like somewhere in these pixels there must be important evidence of something. It's similar to the whole 5 minutes from meaning idea I was talking about earlier. Here's another example of that idea of low-res footage as important evidence of a pivotal moment. Just the other day I came across this concert footage on YouTube. This is from an HBO taping of an intimate Bjork performance from her Vespertine era. Vespertine is my favorite Bjork album, and if you're not familiar with it, you should change that, like, immediately. It's a masterpiece. And this mini concert, you can see from the comments here, I mean, people are saying it's one of the greatest Bjork performances they've ever seen video of, and that they would have done anything to have been there. So here's the thing. I actually was there. I think I was sitting at my job at the time, and I can't quite remember how on earth I found out about this, but I'm pretty sure I saw something about it on some tiny hidden corner of the internet. Some tip that there was going to be this secret concert taping at the Riverside Church in New York City. And there was an email, I think, or something where you could try to email to get tickets. And I vaguely remember, I feel like I remember them saying it was like 100 tickets or something. But if you look at this, I mean, it looks like it's barely even that. Like, there are not many people in this audience. Anyway, I somehow, I guess, emailed in time, and I was able to score tickets to this thing. I'm pretty sure I must have gone with my girlfriend at the time. Anyway, it was this incredible event in my life. And here is a document of that event. Vespertine, I looked this up. Vespertine was released on August 18, 2001. And this concert was soon thereafter. It's actually the very first time she performed these songs live. And it was actually on September 5th, 2001. When I saw that, it kind of blew my mind because obviously September 11 was so soon after this, and these two events were not linked in my head like whatsoever, even though I was in New York for both events, highs and lows. But anyway, since discovering this footage, I've been trying to sort of scan through the occasional audience shots to see if I can find myself in here. It seems like there should be a pretty high chance that my very young face is in this footage somewhere, given how small the audience was. But it's really dark, and this is like 480p. But I'm trying to grab some frames from it and then brighten the shots. I don't know, it's tough. During the song Unravel, which is one of my favorite Bjork songs, she actually walks down the aisle and people are turning to see her. My extremely vague memory is that I was sitting on the right side, but probably not right next to the aisle. But I'm not sure. There's this little sequence, I'll loop it here. I was wondering if this could be my ex-girlfriend and then this could be me. I feel like that's how she would have her hair, maybe, but the face, I don't think that's her. But this guy does seem like he could definitely be me. And I think that's probably the kind of shirt I might have worn to this. This looks, I don't know though, I think his shoulders are wider than mine. Although it could be the angle or even just an oversized shirt. I don't know, it's possible. Or as Bjork would say. By the way, if you're here for concrete conclusions and cogent points, you've come to the wrong channel. So I was thinking about how all this zooming in stuff might relate to how I make art. And one thing I've been toying with in my head for a long time is the idea of drawing or painting something tiny and then blowing it up to be huge. And the reason why I've been interested in this for a long time is because most of my artistic wanderings tend to end up in a very tightly controlled line with tightly controlled compositions. Part of that is also that a lot of the work I do these days is digital and vector-based or 3D-based. But even when I do stuff that involves physical media, like drawing or painting or collage or whatever, you know, it's obvious that I'm a designer through and through. I'm always looking to create order in some way. But I like a lot of art that feels more chaotic or stuff that has sort of bursts of energy, maybe a more random feel or sometimes aggressive mark making or like a more spontaneous gestural kind of feel. And so I've long thought that maybe a way I could approximate that sort of thing is if I drew something quickly at a very small scale, effectively lowering my resolution a lot. You know, even a precise pen stops being very precise if it's trying to draw something complex in a tiny space. And then if I zoom in on the result, maybe the drawing ends up looking more like a painting with all the imperfections of the line on the paper and just my inability to control the outcome. And probably I just need to draw dozens, if not hundreds of these and just pick the ones that work, the ones that have some sort of potential magic to them. These are just some early experiments. I don't know. I think I'll just keep going with this and see if I can get anywhere interesting. And hopefully you found this video interesting. Thanks for watching.